Something about this episode felt flimsy.
Flimsy?
What?
This was the best Spike episode ever.
Oh, hey, that's all fine and dandy, but what are you doing here?
Mostly just trying to trade Pokemon?
You got Skitty? Okay, I have to admit, as a Spike episode, this fixed a lot. But it still feels flimsy. I mean, in the first 30 seconds of the 5th episode of Season 6 of My Little Pony, you'd think they'd know how to establish plot from the get-go. Out of the blue, Spike starts to glow. Now that is odd in itself, but the way it was done? All you needed was the focus to be on Spike when the glow first started, instead of on Rarity, and we would have been more sympathetic on Spike, instead of just sitting in utter confusion or more worried about the bats.
Well, actually, I think that opening is a lot more cleverly written.
I'm not saying it's badly written, I'm saying it's badly staged.
Well, I see it more as how Dragon Quest should have been set up, by giving the audience a chance to see how every pony views Spike. Only instead of the main six just making fun of him, it's more of a believable slip of a tongue. Plus, it's less cringe-inducing.
Anyway, pointless reference jokes aside here, lucky for us, Princess Exposition and Princess Absent are visiting Princess Smile and Wave for a good cup of convenient tea, and explain why Spike is glowing. He has to answer a call from the Dragon Lord, and to do that, he has to travel to the Dragonlands. Now, okay, you have to admit, in a world-building aspect for MLP, this was pretty awesome. The dragon culture has always been shrouded in mystery, just as dragons should be. But I, for one, was pretty hyped to see more of the dragon culture. I expected something a little more ancient and sophisticated than what was actually delivered. Instead of a culture of a hierarchy, the dragons seem to run more like some kind of biker gang. I mean, I get it, they can't have the same level of intellect and sophistication as the ponies do, since the ponies are the dominant species in this world, though I'm not really sure why. A race to retrieve the Bloodstone Scepter to choose the next Dragon Lord seems more like a race to get lunch. I mean, the Bloodstone Scepter, it's lunch on a stick. It's a jam on a stick. Dragons eat jams. Kinda weird for the course to be designed for a big strong dragon when the scepter is so small and more than likely very fragile. I don't know, it just seemed odd that dragons would use something like a scepter for this kind of thing. Not to mention, look at the bloody size of it! Doesn't it look a little, small?
Well...
Oh, don't tell me you've got something for this too.
I do. And it's actually something Dr. Wolf pointed out in his review. And it's how that none of the dragons that entered this competition seem very large, when he noticed all the dragons were small instead of the largest ones we've seen throughout the series. Only, instead of his theory that these are only dragons from Equestria, these are just juvenile dragons from around the whole world.
Oh, okay, so why wouldn't a much stronger adult dragon just enter?
Well, firstly, while it suggests that dragons do live for a long time, I think it's safe to say that they're not immortal, because A, they reproduce, and B, to some extent shown here, take care of their young.
Don't the Middle-earth elves do the same, yet they're immortal?
Just work with me, since McFlurry is the only natural-born alicorn.
I still don't follow why they need a Dragon Lord in the first place. Unless the dragons behave more like an insect colony and the Dragon Lord is like their queen. Wait, haven't we seen this before in How to Train Your Dragon? Huh, Torch even looks like the Dragon King in a way.
Well, since we're shown that dragons grow with greed and possession, then perhaps the purpose of a Dragon Lord being a young dragon is to help his subjects grow their own hordes, whether it be by dividing up the hordes of deceased dragons or by possibly raiding other lands as suggested here. In which, since these older dragons seem to be more interested in just guarding and sleeping on their own treasure, then there's no need for them to try to become Dragon Lord. This is not only a world building episode for the dragon, but was also a chance for vital character building for Spike too. Instead of being shown as a fish out of water, he's shown as mingling and interacting with his own kind. It's good to see a male character portray acts of kindness and strength and show how teamwork is beneficial to their culture as a whole.
Dragons don't do friends. No, you gotta take them out for dinner first. Amber's character was a great addition and showcased the dragon culture from within, showing that rebellion and teenage angst does not always translate straight into bullying the underdog, but in fact sometimes can be served as a way to protect those we see as weaker parties. Turns out though, both Spike and Amber had the same point to put across. Just because a dragon isn't big or strong doesn't mean they'd make a weak leader. Huh, it seems Twilight forgot she has wings and the ability to teleport. You got anything for this?
Unless you want to believe that young dragons have some kind of magic resistant abilities, which I'm pretty confident they don't thanks to Spike, then no. This just makes you scratch your head going, why? Which, speaking of, is it weird to say that I'm kind of glad it didn't reform Garble like they did with other antagonists such as Starlight and Gilda?
What do you mean?
Well, with all the villains thus far who have returned, it seems as if they all end up one way, reformed, or shown as being not so bad. Which I'm not complaining about, or in most cases wish they had gone the other way. But if you go on like that forever, you're just setting up a situation where your audience will just assume that'll happen with every villain. Oh, brand new ultra power villain with awesomeness powers of evil? Oh, they're back? When's she gonna get reformed? Well, at the same time, this also makes villains who are reformed in the show seem all that more special. It also made the next episode much more
another time, stay on topic and keeping this video under 15 minutes if you know what's good for us.
Right. In any case, by going this route in this episode, it shows that not everyone is going to get a happy ending. It can just be evil for the sake of it, which is often much more true to real life than you think. Plus, it makes characters such as Sunset and Starlight shine brighter, knowing they could have gone down worse roads if they had chosen to hold on to their selfish ambitions. Also, you can't tell me that last scene with Garbo and Torque was not worth the price of admission alone. Well, as for me, I still stand by this being one of the best Spike episodes to date. Maybe some points you brought up keep it from being a favorite, but it's still awesome. And I do think it's a well-written adventure episode that does wonders to build the lore of Equestria, with some of the best comeuppance to a villain seen thus far.
Overall, this episode, though a flimsy delivery, still managed to patch up a few things for Spike's character, give the show some much needed world building, as well as give us a few new interesting characters to work with in future episodes. The dragon culture, though primitive, is very strong and shows signs of growth and maturity as both a society as a whole and for the individuals within it. Though the delivery of it was staged a little odd, I enjoyed the episode for what it has done for the series in regards to world building. Darn, I didn't get my skitty. AJ!
I'm working on getting you a shiny skitty.
Ah, okay then. I'm Munchkin.
I am AJ. Let us know what you think below, and
stay creative.